What's up, fight fans? And I'm back at it with another one here at Round One Sports Talk. We're going to be going over the four major sanctioning bodies and what is considered to be a world championship according to the four major sanctioning bodies, and what are interim champions, and where a lot of the confusion lies. Trust me when I tell you, you're not going to want to miss this video, and please watch the video in its entirety. Okay, let's get right into this. There are four major sanctioning bodies in the sport of boxing that are recognized as world championships. There's the WBC, the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO. Those are the four major sanctioning bodies in our sport. They do not recognize all these other belts like the Pacific Championship of the World, the Russian Championship, the Australian Championship of the World. Those are not recognized as world championship titles, okay? So, um, you have to understand that these major sanctioning bodies are a business at the end of the day. What they do not tell you is when you win a belt in the ring, when you go back to the locker room, you have to pay tithes to that belt. That belt is not free. You have to pay sanctions to the sanctioning bodies, okay, for representing their belt. They give you the world stage, they give you their title, and they're recognizing that as a world title, okay? So you have to pay to that. So, what the major sanctioning bodies did was they watered down the sport by making too many belts in a lot of divisions, and it causes a lot of confusion. Okay? And then when these people win the belt, you're watching your favorite fighter win the belt, and you're right on what you're seeing. The guy they're putting the belt on, and you're saying, damn, they're calling him a world champion. He must be a world champion, right? That's not so. And I'm going to use what's going on today right in front of you, and I'm going to bring a little light to it so that you can see what's going on for your own. Okay. Can we all agree that Devin Haney right now is the 135-pound unified undisputed world champion of the world? Can we all agree to that? Is he or is he not? And he is. Okay. How did he get there? Okay, let's play back memory lane. Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko fought to unify the three belts in Madison Square Garden. At the end of that fight, I couldn't help but notice we were going through the corona epidemic. I dare you to go back and look at Teofimo Lopez's post-fight interview. He was standing on the podium with all the belts. He didn't have one, but he had two WBC titles in this hand right here. Did you know that on that night, the WBC title was not on the line? There was only three belts. The person that owned the real WBC title was Devin Haney. Okay? When Teofimo Lopez and George Kamboza fought, and George Kamboza won, they were promoting George Kamboza on ESPN and saying he was a unified, undisputed world champion. And they were trying to put Teofimo Lopez and George Kamboza on the list of men that achieved such a status in getting all four belts. Wait a minute. Then why are you fighting Devin Haney in Australia? Because Devin Haney had the real WBC world title. He came into that fight the WBC 135-pound champion with the green belt. So why is it that ESPN went on and advertised George Kamboza as having all four belts? When Devin Haney arrived in Australia, if you didn't notice in the post-fight interviews, George Kamboza's green little WBC belt disappeared. He no longer had it. They were showing Devin Haney's WBC title and his three belts in his Ring Magazine belt now. Okay? So when they were side by side, all of a sudden, George Kamboza didn't have the WBC title because ESPN was selling it to you as a unification of all four belts. When Devin Haney beat him, he became the unified, undisputed four-belt champion, right? They ran it back. Devin Haney beat him again, right? Okay. So that proves that Devin Haney has all 4 belts at the 135-pound championship of the world, right? Okay, so can anyone explain to me how the fuck is Tank Davis the 135-pound IBF champion of the world right now? I'll wait. How the hell is Tank Davis the IBF 135-pound champion and Devin Haney is the 135-pound IBF champion right now? The reason is because Tank Davis has the IBF interim title. And in actuality, ESPN and Top Rank, when they announced him against Hector Luis Garcia, they announced him in the ring as a 3-division world champion and the current 135-pound champion of the world. How is he the current 135-pound champion of the world if Devin Haney has all 4 belts? See, that's where the confusion lies in boxing. They got no problem calling all these other guys with these smaller belts champions to sell the fight. Oh, Max Callahan went on ESPN and did a real big article on Manny Pacquiao being an 8-division world champion. You mean to tell me the same Max Callahan that's a company man and that has to read off the prompt monitor what they tell him to read? You mean that guy? He can't speak freely? He has a job to do? When they said Manny Pacquiao was an 8-division world champion as a boxer, bro, I was thrown back. I was like, this motherfucker's Superman. Yo, the equivalence in the boxing world to do that, it would be like Michael Jordan 6 rings and Tom Brady 7 rings, all crammed together to do what that man just did. That is I can't explain how hard that would be to do. So when they said it, I was impressed. I was like, wow, 8 divisions? I want to do something on Manny Pacquiao. But when I started to do my research and my homework, I started to discover, wait a minute, these belts can't be counted. Because if you count these belts for Manny Pacquiao, you would have to count these belts for everyone in boxing. That would open the floodgates. You would have to accept the European heavyweight champion of the world and acknowledge him as a world champion. Bro, it would go crazy. It's bad enough the way it is now, and it's so confusing now. Imagine if you accepted all those titles from everybody else. You see? So, look it. Gervonta Tank Davis is not the champion at 135 pounds. There's only one champion, and it's Devin Haney. Gervonta Davis has a piece of the championship, and he pays ties on that belt. And anyone else that has an interim belt does pay to the organization. And that's how the organization squeezes more money and makes more champions. Now, are these belts prestigious in their own right to the person? Listen, as a fighter, I don't care, bro. If I get in the ring, I knock you out, they put an interim title on my way, I'm going to feel like the man. And you can't tell me nothing. I'm a champion. But when I retire, they're not going to acknowledge my interim title as a world championship title. Because the people that make the rules are the sanctioning bodies. And if the WBC doesn't recognize no interim champion as their champion, and they only recognize the one champion, for instance, case in point, if you go to the WBC website, the WBA website, the IBF website, and the WBO website, and you look up all the current champions, they're only going to show you the real current champions. They're not going to show you the interim champions. They're not going to be like this guy, this interim. They're not going to show you that. They're just going to show you right now for the 135-pound champion and all the belts, Devin Haney's picture comes up under all that. Not Tank Davis's picture, because he's not recognized as a champion at the 135. At 130, He's recognized as a champion, but not at 135 and 140. Those are both interim titles. Okay? That's how that works. So if the sanctioning bodies and the organizations that creates these belts, that has these belts in the sport of boxing, if they don't recognize their own interim champions as world championships, and the Hall of Fame doesn't recognize them as world championships, then how the hell am I going to sit here and sell to you and tell you that they are real world championships? Listen, the Ringside Magazine and the lineal belts are exactly what they say they are. The Ringside Magazine. There is nothing backing the Ringside Magazine. The Ringside Magazine belt was established way back in the day when the champion didn't want to fight the number one contender, which usually in that situation it was because he was black, right? So the people in the boxing Ringside Magazine came up with this belt, the People's Champion, to acknowledge him for what he's doing, and they gave him the ringside belt. They told him, wear it proudly. We, as the people, recognize you as our champion. But in the major sanctioning bodies in the real world, whoever had the real belt was recognized as the champion. Although prestigious, these ringside magazines, they are only trophies and awards to show what you've been doing. And at some point, the Ringside Magazine went from such a prestigious belt, and it kind of like swayed, and they kind of gave it to people for like marketing. Who was the most popular? You know what I'm saying? And it kind of lost its value. They're trying to build it up now, but it's not recognized as a world title. No Ringside Magazine in any division is recognized as a world title. Okay. Now, look, if I didn't just prove it to you how all this stuff is going on, to break down what Manny Pacquiao would have to have done, let's just think about this. He would have had to started his career at like, I don't know, 118 pounds, 108 pounds, and he would have had to end it up as a light heavyweight. Yeah, to do 8 divisions, right? Then on top of that, he would have had to have beat. He doesn't have to win all 4 belts in every division. All he needs is one real world title in each division to be considered an 8 division world champion. That's all you got to do. But that's not as easy as it sounds just because it rolls off the tongue. You got to be the super champion, the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, or the WBO. Them, the real top guys in that division. Then you got to leave that division, go to the next division, and beat one of the top guys in that division. Now you only have to do it 6 more times. Are you serious? That is damn near impossible to do. That feat, and you might just sit at home and think that that's easy to do. That is incredible. It was so far-fetched of a story that I was thrown back by it, and then I soon realized why they did it. Okay? Look, Manny Pacquiao's star status outside of boxing was like Beatle Michael Jackson status. People would actually cry seeing him. They would drop to his feet. He had this aura around him, right? And his boxing record wasn't matching it when he was getting knocked out. So they had to like point out some fact to build up his boxing credential because his star status was so big. That's called marketing. So they fed you all this. They fed you his ringside, his interims, and everything. In the event that technically he did kind of do this, but he just didn't do it at a world-class level. They just not telling you that, right? So you as a fan, you see what they say, you see the belts for your own eyes, but you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand the way that they're laid out. No interim champion can be considered the champion until he beats the champion. Am I right? You can say you're a champion, you can feel like a champion, but until you beat that champion, you're not the champion. And nor are the Hall of Fame going to accept all your interim belts. And if you do it for Manny Pacquiao, you got to do it for everybody else. That would listen, it would set everything out of whack. You just can't do that. Look at, you want to see how hard that is? Floyd Mayweather is considered by many to be one of the greatest fighters to ever lace him up. Okay? And that man only has 5 divisions. He's climbed 5 world divisions. And at the end of those 5 divisions, 3 of them, everybody was bigger than him. Miguel Cotto, um, 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 uh, Canelo Alvarez, they were all bigger than him. And at some point, Mayweather was like, I can't go any further because eventually these guys are just going to be too big. You know what I'm saying? And Floyd Mayweather only went up 5. In those last 3, bro, these guys had 20 pounds on Floyd Mayweather, and he still beat them. Bro, that's how hard that shit is to do. And you're trying to make it like this man is Superman, and he did 8. Always doing the great American, huh? You got to put him above Floyd, huh? Because Floyd beat him, but for some reason, somehow, he's still better than Floyd, and Floyd's not the best. He's the best by many. Look, believe what you want, pick your favorite fighter. That's not up for debate. If you believe Manny Pacquiao is the greatest fighter in the world, then that's what you believe. And go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There is nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong with that is us as boxing fans accepting what they're telling us. You know what I'm saying? Accepting that ESPN, when they want to sell shit and when they want to build up a fight, they're going to say basically what they want. Because the only sport you can get away with that is boxing. If you were to go on and announce LeBron James as an 8 ring world champion in the NBA world would go in an uproar. You wouldn't make it out of that interview. You couldn't do that in the NBA. You couldn't do that in baseball. You couldn't do that in hockey. But you could do it in boxing. And no one would blink an eye. And so many people would believe it because where's it coming from? Holy shit, ESPN. They must be telling the truth. But if they are telling you the truth, then why are they announcing Tank Davis as the 135-pound champion and announcing Devin Haney as the 135-pound champion? They can only be one champion. And since the major sanctioning bodies themselves don't recognize any of their own interim belts as world championships, then I don't. The WBC doesn't recognize, they only want the money. That's it. They give me that money. But they only recognize their real world titles. That's it. They'll play the game, but they're not going to lie in the end on their own belt. Why? Because they have to keep their belt prestigious. By making these 5 belts and acknowledging them all as 5 belts, that takes away from the real world champion. What's stopping the interim champion from getting one of them belts, being the loudest and the more popular, and then all of a sudden they say because he's the loudest, he's the popular, he has to be the champion? That's not how it works. You see? You know, any interim champion can just jump up, I'm the real champion. And then all of a sudden his belt doesn't have no weight. You see? So at the end of the day, if you corner these sanctioning bodies in the corner, you say, yo, who the hell is your real champion? Just go to their websites. They don't lie. They're going to tell you, no, this is the champion. We acknowledge him as the champion. And that's how it goes. So I hope I cleared some things up. And I hope you see exactly what's going on in front of you is exactly what they did to Manny Pacquiao. It's not Manny Pacquiao's fault. Manny Pacquiao is a highly decorated champion. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a fucking legend. Okay? And he is one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen. Okay? They didn't need to do this, but they did. They did for marketing purposes. And a lot of us believed it, including myself. I believed that Manny Pacquiao was an 8 division world champion. You fucking right I did, because ESPN fucking said it. But until I did my research, that I was like, yo, I was blown away. I was like, holy shit. And there's been times in my life where I was led to believe something and I felt kind of foolish about it. I was like, damn, man, yo, I really went off like the deep end with this shit. And I was like, yo, like really trying to tell people, no, this is the way it is. And when I was confronted with the truth face to face, I had a decision to make at that point. Do I accept the truth, or do I keep with the lie? Because I prefer the lie over the truth. You know what I'm saying? And even though, because I didn't like the truth, I like the lie version better, you know? And it's up to us to stop that. And that's why I am exposing these kind of things, so that a lot of people can share videos like this, so they can do away with all these interim fucking belts. If they're going to have interim belts, they can have like the champion and one interim belt, not 5 interim belts, man, and call them different names and charge 5 different people and make all these people think that these people are the same champion, until you realize, wait a minute, how the fuck are they the same champion of the same belt in the same division? 5 guys. Who the hell is the champion? You know what I'm saying? And I can see where the confusion comes in. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault. Shit, this is what they tell us. But when you do your homework, like I said, and you really sort through the bullshit, the picture starts to get clearer. And you start to see, wait a minute, you guys are making these belts and you don't acknowledge them as world titles. Wow. So listen, please, if you have any questions about this video, if you have any fighters you want to talk about, please put them in the comments. Everything I'm telling you is the God honest truth. But please don't believe me. No, 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 no. No, no, no. That is the wrong thing to do. Look it up for yourself. Do your own research. Do your own homework. Okay? Look up to see who the real champion is. Figure out, start here. Figure out which one's the champion, Devin Haney or Tank Davis. See how that works out for you. Okay? And then, if you're taking away Tank Davis's belt because it's an interim champion and you're not recognizing him as the champion, then you can't recognize any of Manny Pacquiao's interim championships. That's how that works. And if you accept Manny Pacquiao's interim championships, you got to accept that for every fighter that ever won one in their life. No, it just don't work that way, Papa. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how boxing works. You pay ties to the belt. They have interim belts. They are not world championships. The only one are the super championships in every division. And they are the main belts. And if you want to notice, if you're like watching a fight and he has, like, let's use for example the WBO title in his hand. If he has the WBO, the way you can tell that is the real top belt, it has 5 diamonds on the bottom of the rim. The interim ones don't have the 5 diamonds. There's another version of that interim belt that doesn't have the diamonds in the wings, the red diamonds in the wings. The WBO has red diamond wings. Some versions come without the diamond. That's a lesser version of their real belt. But the top one, the way you could recognize it, it's caked out. It's like buying a car fully equipped. It has all the trimmings on it. The lower belt, as it gets lower and lower, they take stuff off of it. It might look at it from the untrained eye. You might be like, oh yeah, that's a WBO title, right? but it's not. It's slightly altered. It doesn't have all the fixings on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how when I'm watching them in the ring and I'm looking at their belts. Devin Haney's belt has all the 5 diamonds on the bottom of it. Devin Haney's belt, all of them are full. Those are all real champions. So look, that's what I got for you today. I hope I sorted some things out and where a lot of the confusion lays in. Unfortunately, these are the things that we're told for marketing, and I understand it because technically they're not lying because they are world interim champions until they unify it with the regular champion. Then they can be called the real champion. You see, so they're not technically lying to you, but they're not playing fair neither. They're misleading you to a certain point. Yes, they are. And then when your favorite fighter ends up in the Hall of Fame and you want to take your kids out to the Hall of Fame and you're telling them in the car ride, we're going to go see Manny Pacquiao. He's an 8th division world champion. When you pull up into that Hall of Fame, buy your ticket, get your kid, you turn around, look, it's going to say 6. And you're going to be, I thought you said that. You're going to be looking at it, you're going to be like, and at that moment, I hope you remember me. I hope you remember me, man, because I try to tell you, and now I'm the asshole, right? I guess I'm the asshole because I'm just speaking the truth. And if I'm not speaking the truth and I am an asshole, please educate me. Show me where these belts are real belts. That's all I'm saying. On to the next one. Like, subscribe, share the videos. Peace.